The testimonies featured on this channel are presented as received, reflecting the personal experience and perspectives of the individuals who have generously shared them with us. We encourage our viewers to approach these testimonies with compassion and understanding, as these are personal testimonies of people involved. We also encourage you to always refer to the Holy Bible and the teachings of Jesus Christ and His apostles for guidance. You can consider subscribing to the channel to help promote this ministry. In the heart of an ancient Middle Eastern city, behind a curtain of tradition and silence, lived a woman whose life was shaped by the echo of every verse in the Quran. She was born into a family of deep Islamic faith. Her father a scholar, her mother a quiet but devoted believer. From the age of 5, she had been taught to recite the Quran by heart, and by 10, she had memorized it. She believed every word, trusted every verse. But her world would shatter the day she discovered a verse, one that no one dared to explain, a verse many claimed did not belong, and others whispered about in fear. This woman, once hidden beneath layers of black cloth and silence, would soon lift a veil no one expected. Her discovery set her on a path of fear, rejection, pain, and ultimately, transformation. This is not just a conversion story. This is a journey of spiritual war, of cries in the night, of a woman who saw shadows in the holy places and light in the most unexpected name, Jesus. Let's hear from Layla.
My name is Layla. I was born in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. My father was an imam in our neighborhood masjid, and my older brothers were students of Islamic jurisprudence. We were not just Muslims, we were seen as keepers of the faith. Growing up, I was always curious. My teachers would often say, "Don't ask questions about what Allah has hidden." But that never satisfied me. I remember once asking my father, why are there verses in the Quran we're not supposed to interpret? His face turned dark. He didn't answer, and from that day, I learned never to ask such questions again. But one night, something happened. I was 22 years old, studying alone at home while the rest of my family was away. I found an old Quran in our library, one I had never seen before. Its pages were slightly yellow, the ink a bit faded. But it had strange marks on some verses. There, tucked between Surah Al-Imran and An-Nisa, was a verse I had never memorized. It read, "Indeed, the Spirit of truth shall come, and He shall reveal what has been hidden, and in Him shall be salvation for those lost." I froze. That verse wasn't in the Quran I memorized. I flipped through again and again. It was written in Arabic, but my heart began to pound. Spirit of truth? That reminded me of something. I had heard Christians talk about that term before, referring to Jesus or the Holy Spirit. I took a picture of the verse on my phone. But the moment I did, the lights in my room flickered. My heart raced. It felt as if someone was watching me. I heard footsteps in the hall, though I knew I was alone. That night I had a terrifying dream. I saw a man in white walking through a desert. Behind him, hundreds followed. A dark figure shouted from a tower, trying to stop them. I recognized the man. It was the same face I had seen on a Christian pamphlet once, hidden under my school desk years ago, ISA, or Jesus. He turned to me in the dream and said, "Layla, the truth is not where you have looked. Follow the voice you heard." I woke up crying, drenched in sweat. Over the next few days, I couldn't stop thinking about that verse. I asked a trusted Islamic teacher about it, pretending I found it in a hadith. His face became pale. He said sharply, "That is not for us to understand. Do not bring this up again." I knew then, this verse was feared. So I searched. I found underground Christian forums, and to my shock, a Christian woman in Egypt had also found a similar verse in an ancient manuscript. She said it prophesied Jesus coming as Savior, not just a prophet. It shook me. I started reading the Bible secretly. I downloaded a Bible app, reading only late at night under my blanket. The words pierced my heart like nothing ever had. "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Matthew 11 verse 28. One night, as I read that verse, I wept for hours. I hadn't felt peace like that ever. But peace turned to panic when my brother found the Bible app on my phone. He screamed at me, calling me a kafir. My father struck me that night. He said I was possessed and would be taken to a sheik to be cleansed. They locked me in a room for 3 days with no food, only water. Quran was played loudly outside my door day and night. I prayed silently in my heart to Jesus, "If you're real, get me out. Show me who you are." On the third night, I heard a whisper in my spirit, "Leave now." The door creaked open. No one was there. I ran. I escaped to a Christian safe house. It was run by a woman named Miriam who had converted years before. She took me in, gave me warm food, clothes, and a Bible in Arabic. For the first time, I read the Gospel of John from start to finish. When I read John 14 verse 6, I broke down again. "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." The words of the hidden verse in the Quran echoed again in my head. "The Spirit of truth shall come, in him shall be salvation," it all connected. I gave my life to Christ that night. But my journey was only beginning. After I gave my life to Christ in that quiet room, surrounded by people who had once been Muslims like me, I felt peace like never before. But that peace came with fear. I had walked away from everything I knew, my family, my religion, my identity. In their eyes, I was dead. Worse than dead, I was damned. Miriam, the woman who took me in, warned me, "They will not stop looking for you. You need to disappear for now." I had to change my phone number. I cut my hair. I was smuggled out of the city in the back of a vegetable truck to a remote Christian village. I couldn't even bring a single picture from my past life. But even there, in the safety of those stone houses, fear followed me. One night, I received an anonymous message. It simply said, "You are cursed. You will die before the next moon. Allah sees you." I deleted it and dropped the phone. I felt paralyzed. But then I remembered what I had read that very morning in Psalm 23, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me." I whispered those words in the dark until morning. Over time, I learned to pray, not as a ritual, but as a daughter speaking to her father. I no longer had to speak in a language I didn't understand. I no longer had to fear saying the wrong word. Jesus had broken that wall. I could talk to him with my whole heart. But my troubles were far from over. 3 months into my new life, someone betrayed me. A man I had confided in, he was kind, gentle, and I thought he was a Christian convert too. But he was a spy. He reported me to the local religious police, hoping for a reward. One night, I was dragged from my room, blindfolded, and shoved into a van. They interrogated me for 12 hours. "Who gave you the Bible? Where are the other apostates? What verse made you leave Islam?" I was slapped every time I mentioned the name Jesus. One of them held a Quran in my face and shouted, "This is the only truth." "You are sick." I whispered, "I am healed." That made them furious. They eventually released me when they couldn't find any links to other converts. But before I left, one of them said something that chilled my blood. "You found that verse, didn't you? The verse we're told not to speak of. The one they hide in the oldest Qurans. You think you're clever. But you've only made yourself an enemy of heaven and earth. That confirmed it. The verse was real. They knew. They all knew. Back at the safe house, I cried for hours. I was bruised, hungry, and shaken. I questioned everything. I looked up at the ceiling and said, "Jesus, if this is what it means to follow you, I'm scared. But I won't go back. I can't." And he answered, not with a voice, but with strength. The next morning, a pastor visited. His name was Pastor Elias. He had once been a sheik in Yemen. He sat beside me and said, "I heard your story. You're not alone." That verse is what led me to. He opened his Bible and read John 16 verse 13. "But when he, the Spirit of truth, comes, he will guide you into all the truth." I covered my mouth and cried again. That was it. That was the verse hidden in the Quran, twisted, buried, but still there. The Spirit of truth. Jesus. Pastor Elias told me something that stayed with me. Sometimes God plants his seeds in strange soil. But even there, the seed knows his voice. I began attending secret Bible classes. I learned about forgiveness, grace, love, not just as ideas, but as reality. I learned how Jesus touched lepers, embraced sinners, and welcomed the unworthy. I began to understand something Islam had never given me, assurance of salvation. Not based on works, but on love. But while my spirit grew stronger, my body weakened. I had nightmares. I had no home. My own mother had sent a message through a relative saying, "We buried her. Layla is no longer my daughter." I broke down when I heard that. I wept for 3 days. On the third night, in my sleep, I saw Jesus again. He was standing by a well, and he said, "Layla, drink from the water I give, and you will never thirst again." When I woke up, I felt a fire in me. I started sharing my story online under a different name. I connected with other ex-Muslims. Some had been tortured. Some disowned. Some fled their countries. But all had one thing in common: they had encountered Jesus through strange, unexplainable means, dreams, visions, or hidden verses like mine. It was then I decided, I must be baptized. We waited for months for the right time. On the night of my baptism, I wore a white dress stitched from pieces donated by women who had escaped like me. We sang softly, no instruments, just trembling voices. When I stepped into the water, I felt every lie, every fear, every chain fall away. I came up from the water a new creation. But little did I know, the enemy wasn't done with me yet. After my baptism, I felt like I had truly begun to live for the first time. I no longer feared death. I no longer feared hell. I had found the one who had already taken my punishment, who had gone to hell and returned with the keys. His name was Jesus. But life after baptism was not easier, it was harder. I lost everything. My name was on a blacklist. My passport was frozen. My university record erased. My own uncle made a video calling for my execution if I ever returned. I was marked an apostate. I was forced to live under a false identity. I moved constantly, from house to house, city to city. One time, while walking to a small home church, I saw someone who looked like my cousin. He looked at me twice, then pulled out his phone. I didn't go to church that day. I ran for hours through back streets until I collapsed behind a trash bin, sobbing. The fear was always with me. But so was Jesus. I began writing letters to my family, even though I knew they might never read them. I wrote to my mother. "I miss you every day. I don't hate Islam, I just found the one it was pointing to. The Spirit of truth is not a mystery anymore, Mama. He is real. He is alive. And he loves you, too. One day, I received an anonymous email. It simply said, "We know where you are." I packed and fled again. This time, to another country, using documents arranged by believers who risked their lives to help ex-Muslims like me. In that new country, I met other women like me. One was from Iran. She had been a devout Shiite. Another from Sudan. She was the daughter of an imam. Each of them had found Jesus through the same mysterious pattern, a dream, a strange verse, a voice in the dark. Many of us had seen that same verse, indeed, the Spirit of truth shall come. It was like God had been whispering the truth across nations, across borders, planting seeds no one could burn. I began speaking secretly to groups of Muslims curious about Christianity. I never forced anything, I simply told my story. One night, a young man asked me, "Aren't you afraid to die?" I looked at him and said, "I already died. I was buried with Christ, and now I live with him." He cried. He asked for a Bible. I began training in ministry. I started studying the Bible more deeply, learning Greek and Hebrew with other former Muslims. I discovered things that stunned me, like how the name Isa in Arabic was never used by early Christians. That Jesus' real name, Yeshua, meant God is salvation. It made me weep. I began writing articles about the hidden verse, calling it the silent witness in the Quran. Some believers asked me, "Why do you care so much about that verse?" And I always said, "Because God put it there, for people like me." It's a breadcrumb, a signpost, a whisper in the storm. But not everyone agreed. One pastor warned me, "Be careful. Some Christians will fear your story too. They won't understand it." And he was right. Some churches didn't want me to speak. They said my story was too controversial, too dangerous. Some didn't believe I was really a Christian. Others thought I was a spy. I cried again. Rejected by my old world. Misunderstood in the new. But then, something beautiful happened. At a small underground church, during worship, I saw a woman standing at the back, veiled, trembling. After the service, she approached me, tears in her eyes. She whispered, "I saw him too, in a dream. He called my name. He said, 'Come to me, and I will give you rest.'" The same verse I had read that very first night. She was the first person I personally led to Christ. And from there, more came. Quietly. Secretly. A trickle of souls searching for water in the desert. I wrote to my mother one last time. I sent her a handwritten copy of the Gospel of John in Arabic. I don't know if she read it. I only know that a month later, I received a parcel. Inside was a scarf. It was hers. No note. No message. Just the scarf. Was it her way of saying she remembered me? Missed me? Forgave me? I don't know. But I held it and wept, knowing Jesus had taken my shame and given me something better than a mother's love. He had given me eternity. And now, here I am. A woman with no nation, no father, no last name. But I have a king. I have a father in heaven. And I have a new name. My name is no longer Layla the apostate. I am Layla, daughter of the Most High. I walk in the light of the Spirit of truth. And if you are a Muslim watching this, maybe you've heard whispers too. Maybe you've seen the verse. Maybe you've wondered why no one will explain it. You're not crazy. You're not alone. The truth is real. His name is Jesus. And he is waiting for you.